time. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm recording the call for those of you that can't be here. We are all like a big power group. I think I've been calling it. And so I know everybody is torn in 100 different directions. And I so appreciate you all focusing along with me on growing this team and growing the next 20 years of this company. It's a super exciting time for all of us. And I want to have some real focus time with you today. We had a fantastic key leader call yesterday with those women who have women in their influence group who want Icon 500, or they just want to grow. Maybe they just want to bring on one this season. They're focused on growth. And we have so much time to do that right now. I want to give you all some really fun stats, and then I want us to go through the questions that I sent you. Oh, I'm so sorry, goodness, that I sent you in an email just a couple of days ago, and then again yesterday. So first, I want to let you know that last week, Cabby itself, Cabby-wide, was a really solid week for applications. Super exciting, like 3 a day. Okay, we had a total of 12 applications last week, and we have 7 women so far with 2 applicants. So they're potentially headed up to Napa, and we have 2 women who have 3 applicants also in the running, of course, for Napa.
Can I clarify? Is that company-wide or is that just Mertz and Meyer?
Company-wide.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. Boy, I wish it were Mertens Meyer. And so the good news is I want everyone to hear this loud and clear and share this with your groups. The reason for me telling you this, first of all, my fear is now that here we are, top of October, women are feeling like, oh man, there's no way I'm going to bring on somebody that'll buy a full collection. Okay. That's just being real. So what you need to know that Cabby is doing on their end is they are putting applications through faster than ever. And Dana Sandine had someone purchase. She actually purchased her full collection on Thursday and received it on Tuesday. So they're working and she's not on the West Coast either. That matters too. Okay. So they're shipping it out to women quickly, knowing that they want to have a long runway to sell. So that's all really good news. So let's talk about fanatical prospecting. And let's talk about any ahas that you all may have had from that blurb that I put together in the newsletter that for the most part came straight from Jeb Blount's book, Fanatical Prospecting. What I mentioned, my 3 main takeaways were, number one, the number one reason for failure in sales, and we could also say in team building, is an empty pipeline or a really short list, if we talk about hot list. Messaging matters, and how enthusiasm and confidence will win every time. And developing mental toughness, how in sales, what we can control 3 things: our actions, our reactions, and our mindset. None of this is new news, but I would just love to hear what you all got from reading that.
This is Lisa. Sorry, she's in her network meeting. Okay. So I'll let her know that there's a recording. But I feel like the empty pipeline is where so many women get stuck, because going back to what we talked about the other day, that list of 20 women, if that's not really in front of you and you're not working that list, you don't have a list, right? So you have to have this constant, that's how I feel. I have to work my business with team building is I just have to look at that list all the time. All the time. It's like, it has to be like getting up every day and reading my Bible, it's just right in front of me and then doing something about it, being intentional and making a plan. So yeah, I feel like that's huge. And I mean, it's easy not to have a list, but we know women that, and I think what I have to remind myself of is some of these ladies on my list, they are my wannabe stylists that I would like to have on my team, but they don't even know it yet.
Yeah.
And if not them, then who do they know? Going back to that referral again, and just going through it, step by step that way.
Excellent.
I think too, like, some of the women on my list they're clogging my funnel. I mean, they're women that have been sitting at the top of that funnel for, as long as I've been selling. And it's so frustrating to me. And I really had to shift my mindset on who they were in my life and have reframed it this season with, they're not off my list. However, they're not my top priority. So that kind of the way that broke it down in terms of prioritizing, I thought was so valuable. And I have been inviting them to the Fashion Your Future calls because that's kind of the fun part. They don't need to know the math because they're not going to do it this season, but it still engages them around the fun, around the what's new, what's happening, what's exciting at Cabby. And so that's kind of where I if I don't have anybody for and I don't have to personally be on the Fashion Your Future call with those women. They're just getting on because they want to see, how good our CEO looks, like basically.
Yes.
And, I'm not to be, that sounds very surface, but it kind of is the way it is. So anyway, that's kind of how I am doing. And that keeps me engaged with them. It keeps them understanding I'm still interested, but it's not a high pressure, certainly doesn't feel awkward. Anyway, that's just been, but I love the breakdown of it, Beth.
Okay, good. And y'all know that wasn't for me. That was all him. Yeah, good. I'm glad that was helpful. Michelle, you look like you're getting ready to say something.
Yeah, well, I love how Jenny characterized it as kind of clogging your list. I have ladies like that too that I still invite. I saw one of them last week. She called me about 15 years ago and said, "Do you know about Cabby? I think I'm going to do it and I want you to join me." And she didn't. And she's now a client and she's a dear friend of mine. And now I'm on Elaine's team and it kind of ticks her off, I think, that she should have done it years ago. And so now she's resistant to do it now, but she's still on that list. Or I've kind of pulled back and tried to sort of segue her into who do you know? So I think sometimes I get very mentally stuck, ladies, with the ladies that I know should be doing it, have expressed major interest in doing it and just won't pull the trigger for whatever reason. And it makes me not identify new ladies to put on there. I'm always saying something at the curtain, but it's like I think I get stuck mentally there. So I'm working really hard on that. And it's not an easy thing for me to kind of shift my focus and start to really identify things. And I don't think I'm alone. I'm sure that ladies in our Gotcha group are experiencing that. I think we've all expressed that we feel like we're not talking to enough women, and finding new and all of those things. So that's certainly Brenda and I in our group, we've all expressed at one time or another in the last couple seasons together that that's an issue we've got to keep keep that new conversation going and watch for those new ladies. Brenda does a great job because she's always moving that ball forward and really inspiring our group, because she's taking concerted action steps every week and sharing that with us. So she's leading well. Thanks.
For sure. And I absolutely know that about Brenda. Working with Brenda as long as I have the ball, she always has the ball and she's always moving it. No, you laugh, but it's true. Roseanne, I don't want to leave you out. You have anything to add?
Yeah, I wanted to cut my camera on. Before Jenny started, I was gonna say, when Jenny said that a while back about the women that have expressed interest that are clogging her funnels like that, that's where I'm living. I'm living with a clogged funnel. The system's getting backed up. So I have to do the things to, keep them happy, keep them there, work through their whatevers that are keeping them from joining, but I can't put all my focus on that. That cannot be my hot list anymore. That's my cold list.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a lot of that's a lot of the problem, is that I've got a cold list and it's keeping me from finding a hot list. And I think it's keeping other women too. And it messes with our psyche, because we're like, what's wrong? Why do they not want to do it? They said they want to do it, and then now they're getting cold feet. And I think that it just puts up blinders to me, because I get excited and then I get let down. So I've got to just have a total reworking of the system and figuring out. And I know that some of my gals in my gotcha group, they're super intentional about calling and reaching out. And then others of us are kind of just wanting it, but we've got to find a new way. So that's all this stuff that you're sharing, Beth, like the top 20 women, your top 20 clients and how to share and what's in it for her. Those are all great things. But now I've got to figure out my footing and my verbiage and what I want, because it may be that the person who's right for Cabby isn't the person that I think is right for Cabby. I just don't know.
That's exactly it. And you all have hit on some amazing things, which is why this call is so important, because what we all know, and I have 2 gotcha groups. Okay. And I would echo everything you're saying with myself and everybody else in them. It does come down to us needing a bigger list. I love how he talks about an empty pipeline. To me, like Jenny's idea of the clog, it's like they're just clogging up that pipe. And a funnel is the same thing. It's a really good analogy. It's an old tried and true sales analogy, you guys, the pipeline that's been around for years. What I heard was Brenda has a habit of always having the list in front of her. I heard we have to prioritize. The list has to be a priority. Finding new needs to be a priority. And we've been focusing on our cold list versus our hot list. So if we're feeling this, you all, we're all really dialed in. The women in our groups, some of them are as dialed in as we are, but a lot of them are not. They're feeling this 100-fold, right? So the question becomes, how do we help these women see that they need a bigger pipeline, they need a bigger list, and how do we help them get that? So I'm gonna give us a solution right now, y'all.
Hey,
Right?
We like that.
Right?
Hear it.
At least what we think the focus needs to be right now on October the 5th, that God willing will lead to the solution, because this is what has worked. And Brenda heard it yesterday. But I have had the absolute joy and the leg up, really, of being able to meet with the other team growth ambassadors, right, from other orgs. And we get to hear, here's what I'm doing. Here's what worked for me here. Man, y'all, that is helpful and healthy. Dana Sandine, a dear friend, what she is doing that is working is she is doing data mining in her contacts. She's gone back 4 seasons. Okay. And she has seen who are my top 20 clients for each of those seasons. And there's going to be overlap. And she did it by spend, right? This is how much they're spending. And if they're spending a lot season after season after season, those are your top 20 women who are super engaged in the product. They love you. They're gold.
That is such an easy way to get new people on your list. That's awesome.
So here's what she did. She picked up the phone and she called every single one of them. And she told them what she was trying to do. And she said, Beth, these women have heard me say it from the curtain. They've heard me talk about it in a private appointment, how I'm working to grow. But until I called them and said, here's why I'm calling. You love Cabby. And here's what I'm trying to do. Right? And really ask them who they knew that they thought might need this for whatever reason. And then maybe it's you, So what her results, one of them signed up, one of the 20, and one of them gave her a referral that applied.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's our belief that if all of us did this, you all, everybody in a gotcha group, everybody who wants Icon, what could come from that? So what you're going to be seeing in the next newsletter, on the next Be Bold call, is that's really pouring into this idea of your top 20 and what they could bring you. Sales, shows, and for our purposes, team members. Talk to me.
Say what you would say if you were picking up the phone, Beth. Do a little role play.
Okay. Y'all, this is where this book comes in. And I mean, I lean on stuff like this. If you don't have it, get it, because I love that he has a whole section in here on telephone prospecting excellence. And he actually gives you words and a system. All right. So y'all, this is a lot. If you did Brave with Robin, this is a lot of that. So he says, get their attention. Hey, Roseanne, it's Beth Wilms with Cabby. I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm glad I got you voice to voice. Thanks for answering. Then you give the reason you're calling. The reason I'm calling is, first of all, to thank you for being such a lover of the brand and for supporting me and my Cabby business. But the other reason I'm calling is I just want to make sure you know there are other ways for you to be connected to this brand. Let's say she's already a hostess. I love that you host. It is so much fun. And your crew they're just my favorite. What I also wanted you to know was we have such great potential out there. If you believe you might want to think about being a stylist someday. Have you ever thought about being a Cabby stylist? Then shut up.
Shut up.
Y'all, my mother raised me not to say shut up. She always had a cuss word in our house. But he literally says number 2 is shut up. All right. Then just shut up and see what she says. Where does she go? Beth, I really have thought about it. And I've just decided I'm busy with the grandkids right now. This is kind of what I'm getting, and that's where I want to spend my time. But I really did. Oh man, I should ask you sooner. You could have done this for 10 years, right? So Roseanne, another way to be connected is referrals. And man, you love to shop. I would love to see you get a $500 shopping spree on Cabby. And do you know of anyone that I could mentor? That's how I like to say it.
You
Mm.
should write that down, and if that's on
Uh-huh.
paper and everybody had that in front of them, the picking up the phone would be super easy.
Yeah,
I agree.
that's why I asked.
I
Beth, I
agree.
think that's all we need is a script.
Are you serious?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Why you think I asked?
Yeah, I do think it for this particular exercise for data mining, getting your 20, pick up the phone, and have a conversation. I do think a script with a fill in like the blank of the name, would be really useful. And not a long script, it's not going to be long anyway.
No.
The shut up part is probably the longest part of should be the longest part of the calls when you're not talking, right? But having that scripted, just those few critical questions that need to be asked, the conversation
Mhm.
goes where it's going to go, right?
Yes.
But having those three, having that will take the, oh my God, what am I going to say if she says,
Right.
what am I going to, and oh, I've asked her a million times before, all the head games that are problematic for, people, like,
Okay.
Well,
You know, I'm thinking of a couple that are going to be in my top 20, and I know they don't want to do cabbie because of where they are in their life. However, I can twist that, edit that script according to, that person too. But to have that script like you just read us or shared with us was perfect. I mean, and I honestly know I'm thinking about our gotcha group,
Okay.
Michelle. I
Yeah.
feel there's some gals on there that would hesitate to do that, pick up the phone without having that in front of them, knowing what they're going to say.
well, I would agree, Brenda, that the script is great. And I like the verbiage. Words matter so much and the words that you choose.
Yes.
And I think, Beth, I love, can you help me find a woman to mentor?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just so beautifully stated. And I think that it would mean a lot to our top 20. And it occurs to me too, we have the one-to-many message at the curtain.
Mhm.
We have the one-on-one message, when we meet up with someone or at checkout. But picking up the phone and being very deliberate about she is a big cabbie lover, and we acknowledge that, we appreciate that, and we're reaching out to her specifically for her expertise, and who she might know if it's not her, right? I think that's going to be very meaningful, and it's just one more avenue to explore as we're growing our teams and really focusing on this icon challenge.
And if we get into that habit, Beth, what could happen if we took that to every single client that shops with us?
I know.
Mhm.
If we can get that scripting down pat, it will get easier to share it, and it could go massive, really.
And then I think that if it becomes a habit, then as you're checking out with everybody, you can confidently say, now I'm going to call you to check on you, and that way you've said it so you can't let yourself off the hook, because that reaps benefits and it strengthens the relationship. And it also puts your neck out there saying, I'm going to do this thing, but you have to start somewhere for those of us who love to talk, but don't necessarily pick up the phone.
Yeah, I love that he said, get their attention, identify yourself, tell them what you want, bridge to the because, this is what I want, this is what I need, and here's why. Because I love to mentor women in this business, and I believe in who we are and what we do.
Mhm.
And then ask for what you want. Actually ask.
And knowing that we have this script, obviously it's going to get tweaked a little bit with our own personal verbiage and that lead in stuff, depending on who you call, you're one of my beloved clients. You make my job as fun as it is. It's because of women just like you that I love what I do. You know, you're going to say whatever you say to each person, but it's just, then what is what we need. This is why I'm calling. 1, to tell you I love you. 2, to tell you you look amazing always. And 3, I want to share my goals with you, because if you speak them into action, then now I want you to hold me accountable to helping me reach these goals.
Yeah. So here's some other messages that I would love for us to get out there. We're going to be talking a lot about, yes, it takes time to do these things, but it also takes work. This is work. Brenda having her list in front of her and being intentional about the list, and thinking about what she's going to say, and making the phone call, and blocking the time on the calendar just for this. That's all work.
Mhm.
We want to start talking about how we've got to put in the work. Do you feel the women in your groups are putting in the work right now? And I don't want names of who is and who isn't or any of that. What do you feel?
I think my girls are willing to. It's not a matter of not wanting to put in the work. I think it's tweaking little things like this and little golden nuggets, like find who your top 20 are for the last 4 seasons, starting here.
Yeah,
It's moving past the cold pipeline and getting some new energy in a specific way.
I 100% agree. Thinking of my team, you know, my girls, they're willing, and just some of them are really, I only have 4. One she knows what she's doing, but the other 3 are just like, I want to do this, but I don't have anybody on my list, or I don't have enough on my list, or what, you know. So there's willingness there, but I think this next step of like, here's something to try, like now, try this now. Like, let's move. Don't worry about anything else I've said to you. Try this. Let's try this and let's talk about it. It's a perfect time because we've got the 2 back-to-back calls coming up in October.
Right.
To send this out and say that, and so like my first thought was, well, I'm going to do a voice message to via text to my team and say, hey, just heard this. I'm trying it. I'm so excited to do this. I just want to see who those 20 women are. First of all, are they already women on my list or not? And then to practice this with women who I absolutely know they love Cabby because they spend X on it.
They all show up, right?
Right? They always buy, they always show. So I just think that's going to generate for them some comfort level and also some excitement that, wow, maybe I could get somebody on my list now. It's just a great starting point, I think.
I agree.
And something new to do too, right? Just a new idea and another avenue to explore. Something that occurred to me, and I shared this on our group last week, or Monday week ago. When we last got together as facilitators, it occurred to me that the things that I was doing, yes, I was reaching out to my, little hots, which aren't really super hot, they're more like lukewarm, but
yeah.
But I was doing a lot of passive things, like a one-to-many message at the curtain. And it occurred to me that was passive, not active, because that's safe. It's super safe, right? To have a one-to-many message at the curtain and just move on. It's much more vulnerable when we reach out one-to-one and, call her, hey, you're my top 20, or, hey, I see this in you, or whatever, whatever that might look like. And so it occurred to me that I needed to get on the stick and reach out and call. And I've been calling the lukewarm to warms, to some cold, some more hot. and trying to, as Kate so beautifully said yesterday, kind of have that conversation that she's moving through sort of thing. And it might not be this season for some of the gals in my case, but that whole notion of being passive versus being vulnerable and active, those are two very different things.
I really love that. And here's the good news, you all. I do feel like we've gotten the ball rolling with that activity. You know, the card that we did, it at a minimum is getting women to talk about it. Some of them are deciding to do it straight up at the very beginning of their presentation. Here are the ways you can connect to the brand. What you're talking about, Michelle's follow-up. That's the active piece. Right. So for example, I had 2 women when I did my follow-up at checkout with them. So did you think of anybody that had said, "Oh, I need to talk to my sister-in-law"? And the other one said, "Oh, I need to talk to my sister." Okay. So I followed up with them this week. That was active. Right. So we don't want to throw that out. We don't want to throw that out because that could be great. I mean, there's no magic bullet. We need to do all the things, you know, but it's the follow-up. That's the active part. And it's making that phone call. And maybe those women aren't on your top 20, but those are the women that gave you an indication they had somebody, or maybe it was them. Right. So Jenny, you bring up a great point of, you know, here's how you're thinking you're going to get this right out to your group right now. You know, I had the same thought, like, you know, because we don't meet, I'm just grabbing my calendar here for a second. You know, we don't meet again until the 16th. So, you know, time, we want to use the time that we have in between wisely. So, you know, do you all feel comfortable in reaching out and saying, "Hey, here's something I heard"? They're also going to see it in the newsletter. Okay. Know that that's going to be in the newsletter on Monday. They're going to see that call to the top 20. They're going to see that. But if you all feel you have the bandwidth to get the ball rolling, do it. However you want to do it.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do like Jenny said. It's just a minimal text or email. I'll probably text and tell them to check their email and just kind of lay it out. Even without your script, would you be able to, if we said, you know, need words, you know, script ideas are coming. Can we say that, Beth? Is that putting too much on you? Because then in this time they could, because it's going to take a minute to data mine. So they can already be thinking and getting that list ready so that on Monday, if you have the verbiage in the newsletter, they can start. And I also think too, going back to what we were saying about they'll put in the time. I think it's just also, you don't have to sit down and tackle the list of 20 in one sitting. Like Michelle, I'm so inspired by you having those lists in your car. I'm in my car all the damn time. Sorry. Sorry, but I feel like all I do is drive around like an Uber driver. And if I could knock out 2 or 3 calls instead of listening to a podcast, well, that's income potential producing instead of just educational or entertaining, you know? So I think, yeah, I'm not going to hesitate. I'm going to do it now. So why would I not share that with my group?
I think that's really great. And I think because y'all are you're all leaders and you have influence, just you doing it for yourself and saying, "You guys, here's what I did." And I'm just amazed at who these top 20 women are. First of all, don't you think we're going to feel totally comfortable calling them?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what I am so jazzed about, because I'm going to do it with my gotcha group, but I'm also going to do it with my first line. I'm going to do voicemails to both of them, you know, voice text messaging, because they listen to those, they pay attention to that. I just have to keep it short because, you know, I carry on. So I have to keep it short. When I like nail it, then they're like, they act, you know, as opposed to, oh my gosh, she ever gonna finish talking. So
I love where this is going. First of all, y'all, I'm super excited, and I am not worried about the fact, that we don't have as many applications right now as we all wish we had.
We need to get going.
We need to get cranking, and I feel like this is the time. I feel like this is going to do that and get people engaged. People got to start putting in the work, and we got to decide we're going to work, y'all, till the bitter end. We're going to keep working, keep doing it, whatever that looks like for all of us. Okay, so there's that. And then there's also this thought of the conversation that we have been having conversation about what's a conversation. And I'm just going to put it in a nutshell for you. It's our thinking that people feel a conversation is sitting down at, hey, Laurel, thanks for being here.
Hi, Beth.
No
Sorry.
worries. Stop. No, sorry. I've got a recording. You're good. That it's actually the sit down, the actual meetup. So we're challenging thinking and flipping it on its head a little bit that could help women not be just completely frozen when it comes to having conversations with women. A conversation starts as a simple ask. Have you considered being a stylist like me? That's part of a conversation. So that starts the conversation, right? Have you ever considered being a cabbie stylist? And then what we know about the conversation is, and I think Roseanne said it, that Kate talked about it, it's all these little baby conversations along the way. It's that road, it's that seed planting, however you look at it, that cements it in your mind. But so when we say, think about having, or you should be having 3 conversations a week, that could just be throwing out the question to 3 women a week, right? That's a conversation. And then it leads to Jenny's point, who knows where the conversation's going to go, right? And then there's the next conversation after that and after that. That same thing will happen with these top 20 phone calls, right? That'll start the conversation. And then it will trickle down. Do you all feel that women get stuck on the word conversation? Like, what is it? Do they know what it is?
I think, yeah, partly. I think for some women, they think the conversation is the invitation to coffee or the invitation to wine. The conversation could be 3 sentences at checkout, honestly. And I think we get bogged down in like, I've got to block my calendar for, all these hour-long meetings. That's like the end. Like that's on the, the 1 yard line before you're about to make the touchdown. Like you have to gain yardage. Like that's, so conversations are just little nuggets, that I think they can be done, and that, don't take this wrong, but almost like in passing. They're not like that hard meeting. Like that's such a definitive thing. Like I think conversations can happen much more organically.
Yes.
I totally agree, Roseanne. And I think Kate said it well when she said, let's grab some coffee. And when we had our last, it was a Friday morning. And we were talking about that. Laura Dean was speaking on that call, and several others were, I think Shira was sharing, and it was all about just ask her to coffee. So after that call, I literally got off the phone and asked my gal to coffee. She goes, okay, let's do it. The Brenda, the retired police officer. And I don't know where that's going to go, but it's like, why don't I just do that so much more frequently? And again, organically, to Roseanne's point, because it's very non-threatening. Hey, let's go grab coffee, or let's go grab a glass of wine, right? After we've had those nuggets along the way, to your point.
Yeah. So here, again, here's the ask, our ask, that we're pouring into our groups. Here's another one. The first one is, this is going to take work. And so let's think of it as work. This is part of our work. It's going to take work to get to our goal, right? It's going to take work. So can we all, lock arms and decide we're going to all get to work? First of all. Then second of all, this whole idea of the conversation, there's the conversation and there's a meetup, which to me, the meetup is the coffee, or come over to, come sit in my office and let's walk through facts and figures, or that's a meetup, right? And that can be on Zoom. You all know all the things. I would even go so far as to say a meetup is getting them on facts and figures, right?
Yeah.
Brenda.
I really wish there was a way that the facts and figures could be recorded somehow, because there are so many women I want to get on there, and it's the time.
Right.
It's the time.
Okay, I have the fix for that, you all. And this is what Annette Sonnen is doing in the Hankinson org that is really working. You guys use me for that. Let's use each other. I know I'm not Colleen, but I have the facts and figures. I have it. When you have someone that they want to go, but they just can't make it work, call me immediately.
Okay.
Text
Okay.
me immediately. And then we can also round up other people too.
Right.
To make it better.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And I would even go so far as to say, why wouldn't we use our groups in that way? Hey, you guys, Brenda has somebody. We're meeting with Beth on Tuesday at 3. Can anybody come?
Mm-hmm.
And Brenda does offer that. I mean, she absolutely, we're always talking about that. And just that willingness to talk, with ladies in our gotcha groups that might have somebody that needs to talk. And I agree that having different times for the corporate ones would be super, or recorded, but we can make it happen on our own too.
We can, and sometimes that's even better, because guess what? We're the people they're actually going to be working with.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is the Mertensmeyer org. I mean, these are the faces they're going to see at Fashion Week. And, it's almost better. So
I feel like we should then just to wrap that up, I feel like then the verbiage I need to be saying to people is, when can you get on a facts and figures call?
Yes.
Instead of, we have one on Saturday at 5 p.m. Can you jump on?
Yes. Yes. So I had a gal I thought was going to get on the one today that's at noon. And I was like, Angie, it's your birthday. I get it. If you don't want to be on, when can you meet? You guys, we're all equipped to do it. And if you want me to roll through facts and figures, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it in the middle of the night. Maybe not. I do love to sleep, but so there's that. And then this conversation piece is huge, because once we get our list larger, right, we have to realize these are simple conversations. And then there's a meetup, right? When she's serious, when she's hot, there's a meetup. Laurel, you look like you're getting something.
I feel like there needs to be a facts and figures call when they're hot, right? I just got off the phone with a gal that I've been trying to just contact, for a month now. And we talked for an hour, but she can't get on at 1 today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think she's hot, right? So I didn't know when the next one is. I only knew when today's was. So, but yeah, I feel like it's like that, right? So if it's not for 2 weeks, you know what I mean? And sometimes I feel like I just talked to her for an hour. She might be done talking to me for a second. You know what I mean? It's nice to hear it from one of us or somebody else, just to kind of reconfirm that Laurel's just not blowing smoke all over the place, that this really is the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean? So I'm all in, whoever wants to do our own little facts and figures calls or whatnot. I mean, I can do them too. I can tell her, I feel confident in the facts and the figures, but sometimes it's just nice to hear it from someone else.
So just so you all know, I do this all the time. Okay. And towards the end of the season, I really seem to have a lot of women reaching out towards the end of the season, wanting me to do them with people. And here's what I try to do is, Laurel, if I know that you're bringing your gal and she's really hot, I approach it like you and I are doing it together. You know, like this is not the Beth show and here I am coming in with the facts. It's not like that, you know, and if Brenda has someone too, it's my goal is to pull everybody in. I have the slides, right, to go through the important points. And I'm pretty good at reading the room and deciding where we need to go next. Maybe we'll go through the whole thing. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll skip around. But the big message right now, I want y'all to hear loud and clear. And Darcy and Lisa that couldn't be here today, you all, I need you to use me like this because it is working to do facts and figures kind of on the fly. That is working. Getting them while they're hot, to Laurel's point. So when do we need to meet with her? You know, Brenda, you've got one. When do we need to meet with her? I'll bring mine. Angie couldn't be on today. I actually have another one, Christy. She couldn't be on today either. So after this, let's throw that out. Jenny.
I have somebody who's supposed to be joining, but if she ghosts me for some reason, then I will have somebody next week. I'd love to do it next week.
Okay.
Because the next one the next official one is in the evening on the 19th, I think 5:00 Pacific.
Yep.
That's the next official Colleen one.
Yes.
But if you have somebody hot, why would you wait? That's like way too long. That's 2 weeks from now.
So the message is, we don't wait for Fashion Your Future. We don't wait for facts and figures. We don't wait for something that's on the Cavi calendar. Those are great to leverage, to throw out to people. But if they're hot, contact me. I can get with this crew and Lisa and Darcy. And, you know, maybe when we're meeting, you guys are available to be on too. I mean, we can support, this group can support each other in that way. Just as much as your gotcha group, reach out to them too, because the more the merrier. And this is very encouraging for me to hear that people have people that are hot. That's super encouraging.
I got a couple gals, and I think Kareen's gal's getting on facts and figures today too, and she's hot. So, and I
Great.
think Maureen's girl's getting on facts and figures today too. So she's
Okay.
got a hot one. There's hot ones. There's little hot tamales going out there.
And Laurel, can I just say you're looking hot? I mean, wow.
You are. It's a little low, girls. I'm like pulling
I
up
know,
my
it's working.
relay top here.
It's
Woo!
working.
You
And
know.
it's buttoned all the way to the top.
You know,
It's working.
there's nothing there. There's nothing there, girls. There's nothing to fill it out. So
Well, it looks good.
thank you, Michelle.
So,
Wow, my friend, looking hot.
and Laurel, not to take away from your hotness conversation, okay? But
For sure.
But moving on to my last thing, Laurel teed it up perfectly. Can we go around and will you all tell me who in your group has somebody hot? All right. So Laurel said, Laurel, you have one.
I have two. I
You
have
have
two
two?
gals that literally I've been talking to in the past 48 hours. So that are, one is, yeah, they're hot. So, and then Kareen has one. She texted me yesterday, super excited about her. And then Maureen, the last call, was gonna try to get her gal on for today as well. So, or
Okay.
like number one. But
Awesome.
our conversation at the end was that, why are we not asking? And to get that out of our head, that we're just gonna ask. So I think that's what Kareen did, because it was a longtime friend of hers. So it's just silly, just ask her. Why not?
Amazing. Amazing. Okay. Who else? Can you or someone in your group? Brenda?
I have someone, hopefully she's joining today.
Ooh.
And joining the call. Let's be clear. One of my gotcha team is talking to somebody. She committed to talking and meeting up with her within the 2 weeks, this week or before we are meeting again not next week, but the week after. And it was pretty hot prospect. And then maybe one other who she's in conversation, but I don't think I think she's got a lot of lukewarms. I don't think she has anyone hot in particular.
Okay, Jenny, who has the hot one other than you?
Dottie Sandoval.
Okay, great. This just helps me, you all, keep track in case I need to reach out and just offer support. Okay, Brenda.
So, Michelle, you have 4 lukewarm. Is that
Lukewarm.
right?
Very
Okay.
lukewarm.
Awesome.
Karen has a lukewarm gal and
Okay.
then a cool gal. And then Tony Tony has none that are serious, but she is talking to one gal. And Lexi doesn't have anybody right now. Justine has 2 serious hot ones. And then I have 2, well, the lead that I got the other day is ghosting me, but you know, I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
She'd be perfect. She was a stylist at Nordstrom.
Ooh,
Wow.
And she's a stay-at-home mom with 2 little babies, 1 and 2-year-old.
oh,
And then Sonia is my other hot one. But she's on vacation this week, so there's no way I can get her on that call.
okay.
Figures.
We'll do
So-
one next week, y'all. We'll do one next week.
Yeah.
So if I
Okay.
could get these 2 on that call,
Mhm.
that'd be amazing.
Yeah, we'll do one next week. We will, and we'll figure out a time. Okay.
Great. That would be great.
Anybody else from y'all's group, Brenda, Michelle?
Well, I think I think Brenda covered
Stephanie,
it.
Stephanie doesn't have anybody either.
Okay. Okay. They will. They will.
But she's got new clients because we lost a team member out in her area. And so she's feeling like there's potential there,
Okay.
meeting a lot of new gals.
Love
And
it.
she really wants a compadre out there selling it with her. She really wants that. So
She's all alone out there.
Before I forget this, because I do, the whole idea, I think it's important maybe to say this to our girls, the idea of the Icon 500, and well, no one, if you don't get them now or in the next, 3 to 4 weeks, then they're not going to want to buy a whole line. I think we need to really have some conversation around that so that they're not shooting themselves in the foot before they even start to walk. So like you're engaging with a woman, fine. If you don't think she's going to buy the line or that's not the best course of action for her, then that is not what you propose or you work with. You offer it, but you don't push toward that. But then maybe you should also be thinking, if Icon 500 is really driving you, then maybe you should think about women who don't live in your area, because they would have to probably get the line if you wouldn't be able to share it with them. And that doesn't need to be you have to do it within 2 weeks. That could be somebody in November, to be honest, who is ready to go and doing that. And, so again, it's just a way of reframe, just making sure you take that out of the equation. Like, oh, it's too late now for Icon 500. That's it basically, and, I know we're being recorded, but that's bullshit you're telling yourself so you don't have to pick up the phone. That's what that is. So, anyway, that's my
I love that, Jenny. I have one that's a first season freshman. She launched in late May last year. So she has someone, and when I was in Houston last week, I offered have her come, we'll go to dinner, and the gal didn't take up our offer. And Rachel, my team member's approach has been, well, she can just digitally launch. And I'm like, she's got plenty of time to sell from the collection and then liquidate that collection. She's paying $2,500 for it. She could easily, if she works it hard enough, she could double her money on that deal and have, just in liquidation alone, let alone, having some time on the calendar to sell that. So I agree that I think we've got plenty of runway at this point, and the longer it goes, I think that's where, that's kind of the backseat position, that, back burner position of saying, okay, we'll let her digitally launch, right, later, or have collection or whatever, but
Yes, and this is
anyway.
why each and every one of you are here, because you're big picture thinkers and you can say those kinds of things in your groups, right? Because you get it. Icon 500 is not the goal, right?
Right.
That's just a beautiful residual gift for the work. The goal is growing your team, right? So right now at this moment, we have 5 women, Jenny O'Donnell being one of them, who have brought on one. So that means we need to be talking about, hey, we all need to bring on our first one. How are we going to do that? What does she need? What makes the most sense for her? Right? And if it's not the full collection, it's not. But the bigger picture that we all know is you've grown your team by one. Yay. Right? Okay. So let's see, Roseanne, you're next. Who in your group?
I've got 3 lukewarm, my still lukewarm.
Okay.
And I would say that Michelle Wilson is probably, I mean, she's actively working. She's got, I don't know if they're hot. I would say they're probably like lukewarm, maybe.
Okay.
I do not think that Teresa, Tammy, or Mary have anyone actively
Okay.
on that they're, I mean, I can't, I would think I would know if they did.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
So here we are.
Got it. That's great. And I will take a look at my group. To my knowledge, let me see. I have 2, and I'll take a look at how many the rest of mine have. I know Carrie Moose had one that was hot in my Friday group, and I'll look back at that. But here's the beauty, you guys. Right now, what we just stated was we have 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10. We have 12 hot women right now, just those of us on this screen. Yeah, that's huge. Huge. So just to recap, because we're about at the hour, what I'm going to do is, first of all, Kate and I are going to pour into the newsletter, and Cynthia too, all of this idea of top 20. Okay. As far as actually getting the verbiage to everybody, I want to be careful. I'm not going to put that in the newsletter yet. Okay. My hope will be to work on the verbiage on the plane. Okay. And get that out to you all as leaders that you can get to your gotcha groups ASAP. Okay. So at least we can get it rolling there and not make it too much for the newsletter. Okay. Because we want to keep that a little more simple. The other thing that I'm going to do is I am going to find a date next week that works for me to put together a facts and figures for all these hot women, hotties like Laurel. And
Hot tamales.
all these hot tamales. And I'll start shooting that in a text to you all. Okay. And then you can be talking to your people. And if we need to do more than one, we'll do more than one. Okay. What are you all seeing that you need to do right now to help get the ball rolling on anything we talked about?
Share the messaging of get the top 20 data mining going ASAP.
Okay.
Get
Would you mind, Beth, so I'm going to share it, I'm going to do a voice, leave a voice text for my gotcha team and also my first line. Would you mind if I post something to the private Facebook group of the Glassman team?
Ooh.
I mean, with the idea of like, here's something to try if you're feeling stuck,
Right.
Okay. Okay.
Run.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
Cool.
whatever I put together will just be, extra or hopefully useful, maybe not.
Okay.
Are we talking about data mining the top 20 items in the line? So we're
No,
talking
sorry,
about-
Laurel, it's actually data mining the top 20 buyers, your top women who
Okay.
bought from you in the last 4 seasons. Separately, you don't have to do a lot of math here. You research your back office by taking a look at the top PQV for the season. And those are your true buyers. Those are your loving, wonderful supporters who love Cabby, and it's reaching out to them for referrals or potentially as team members. Did I get that
I
right?
love it.
You did. And you
That's
all know
awesome.
when you physically go into the contact manager, okay, you all know that once you get there, like with, let's say you're doing spring 23, all right, you can actually up top, the little Excel, you can actually download that list and then you can filter it. You can look where it says PQV at the top. Y'all know this, right? I just want to make sure everybody's clear that it can be super simple. And Cabby really already has it for us. So it's not going to be crazy time consuming. Does everybody know that that's possible?
Yeah, I think that's gonna be some education that we're gonna have to do.
Yes. Yes. Because everybody's not familiar with like downloading an Excel spreadsheet and doing the filtering. So that could be something that we combat. And if y'all find that, I don't know, one of you are probably better at it than I am, that we need to do some sort of helpful something to help people step by step, we can do that.
Yeah.
Roseanne, you're nodding. Yeah, you feel like that.
No,
right?
I think that, if we have some resistance or I don't know how to do that. It's pretty simple. That could be it could
Yeah.
even be like Facebook Live on Mertens Meyer on Fire, little tutorial or something.
Love your thinking on that. How to filter for your top 20
Mm-hmm.
season by season. Roseanne,
Yeah.
I almost think we should do that.
Okay.
Awesome.
Or just, I'm not like making it more complicated. You do need to go season by season. Like you can't do,
Yeah.
and I that I have obviously I have more than 20. So you're going to have, at my threshold that I'm selecting, everybody's going to select a different threshold based on their business. You could do 500, 1,000, whatever.
Right.
But we're looking for the common denominator.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And everybody will choose a different amount of what they think is a big buyer, right? It depends on your business and all of that. Also, not to muddy things, because this is where we're starting, but you can also see where, let's say, and I'm always thinking of the newer stylists, like in seasons 1 through 4, that, they're going to have their top 20 still. But a way to expand their list could be, I don't know, you could go in show by show and who were the top 3 buyers at a show, call them, tell them, thank you for coming. Do this process with those women, as well. There's no end to where we could make these phone calls.
I was just going to say that, like, all of this that we're doing, the push for Icon 500 is like just such a big, great incentive, but it's really for the long haul. It's not just for the trip, it's for the business. And so women need to learn how to do this, because I'm sitting here going through looking at mine and I'm like, oh, I need to reach out to them. They haven't shopped this season. Oh my gosh. So it's not just, it's team building, it's sales, it's, customer service. So all of that filters into our long-term goals of team building and sales.
Big
Right. That's how I'm looking at it. I love the Icon 500, but I have to go beyond that for it to really make sense to me. Like, these are practices that we need to put into place. It's not just to teach the test and then you just throw it out the window. It cannot be that.
And you guys, I used to be afraid of telling women that this was work. This piece of it, it's work. Doing the data mining is work. Making the phone calls, that's part of your work. It's not hard, but we can't be afraid. Let's be bold in talking to women about the work we got to put in to make this happen, right? It's not magic. Nothing will happen magically, right? It's going to come from work. We're going to put some work in. And you all, you've put in extra work today. Thank you for staying. Right, you all, this has been a great call. Oh my gosh, I'm so fortunate to have you all. I am the luckiest.
We're
Luckiest. In my lucky pullover. Yes. Okay, Laurel, stay beautiful today. And just, yeah, go out and, have date
I'm
night.
gonna dare to ask.
Listen, you dare.
Oh,
I'm feeling lucky. And Michelle, what's yours? Come
Oh,
on.
you're gonna be,
Oh,
I know.
Jenny's going to be bold.
Oh, she's gonna be bold. I love it.
Hey.
I love it.
I'm
Oh
looking for my
gosh.
next neighbor. I'm looking for a cabbie neighbor in surrounding counties.
I love it.
Okay, no, Roseanne, it's the top you have on her hair. You're gonna like,
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
you're going to get
Wild.
Michelle. Michelle is
Okay.
just like coolness in her glasses. You're just gonna go out there and like ooze cool all over people.
I'm gonna put my sweater on and get in the car tomorrow and drive north, and I have a lot of car time. So there we go. Make
all
some-
right.
She's so cool that she's hot.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Oh.
Million, you're amazing. Let's go forth and conquer.
Okay.
Bye,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye.
Okay.
Thanks, Beth.
Thanks, everybody.